Greenwell, ReSAKSS is playing a lead role in helping countries to establish their SAKSS platforms. What lessons have you learned from working together with countries in setting up these platforms? And what do you think are the most critical factors of success in setting up effective SAKSS platforms?
Thanks very much, Madam Chair. Yeah, so the process of setting up SAKSS nodes in Southern Africa and I think in the Africa in general is an endeavor that is kind of is serious, and it requires a lot of effort and also a lot of coordination of different partners in order to be successful. That's one of the things that I have to say, and I don't think I'm going to waste any time to explain why it is important. But I have to say that in terms of the process, one of the critical steps that we undertake, which Godfrey alluded to, is to do a thorough capacity needs analysis in the country that we think we want to establish the SAKSS node. The success of that capacity needs analysis is also critical in terms of whether you're going to demonstrate to partners in the country as to whether it is important to have the SAKSS node. Ideally, the capacity needs analysis is supposed to show the abilities that the agricultural sector has in that country, as well as the weaknesses that might need strengthening going forward in the broader purpose and realm of trying to help advance evidence-based policy planning and implementation. Our lessons are that it is critical to have political buy-in in the country where you want to establish the SAKSS node. And that political buy-in has to be realized at the country level, as well as you also have to have, obviously, political backing from the other institutions, which for us, that is not a big problem because the agenda is obviously coming from the African Union. I mean, it's coming from the countries to the African Union and supported, obviously, by the NPCA. Those, we find them very useful. If you just come and you don't articulate these clearly, you might find a lot of resistance. But also to have that political buy-in at the country level, you need to be in a position to demonstrate beforehand at least what the SAKSS would be in a position to do if it were successfully established in that country. If you do a bad job in terms of that, I think chances are that there might be reluctance at the country level. So one way of doing this is to also share experiences from other countries with the country you're targeting, talk about the annual trends reports that are some of the typical outputs, talk about the ability to generate data or at least to assemble or coalesce data, broker and knowledge at the country level, which countries at the moment are unable to do in the absence of such kind of functions. And we also noted that, among other things, it is important when you try to advance the effort to identify champions in different sectors in the particular country. You need to be able to identify people who will, who once they buy into the idea, they are likely going to help in trying to propel it forward. Because if you just identify anyone else and they have no influence in the country, then you can't go anywhere. To that extent, we also see that it is important not only to concentrate on the government, which is the main player, but you also have to go to the private sector as well as the civil society institutions and look at partners or individuals who are likely going to help you advance the agenda forward when you introduce the idea. This leads also to another lesson, which is that of inclusivity, because sometimes these things are just said, but you can also see that once you are not inclusive enough in terms of the process, so that, for example, you're leaving out other key partners, either other ministries that are critical for agricultural advancement, or other players like the private sector or the civil society institutions, you will come to a point whereby you really don't have the support you need to propel the agenda forward. So it is important to be inclusive right from the onset. And at the same time, I need to reiterate the importance of a good capacity needs analysis, because that is also what kind of exposes the areas that you might want to advance once the function is in process. If the sector sees that the issues you're talking about are indeed critical for them, they are likely going to buy into the idea and support the idea going forward. In some cases, we have seen that where countries have talked about supporting the SAKSS idea upfront with some kind of seed money, it is also important. So I'll talk about, I know Godfrey might have not talked about Zambia, but I'll talk about Zambia where the government kind of put forward some money and already that was facilitated the process, and other institutions in the country found it easy to follow us. And then the issue of trust is critical. Fortunately for, I think for ReSAKSS, since we have been doing this for some time, yes, those issues might arise, but in most cases, the countries come to a realization that they can actually work with us given the experiences in other countries. So I think in the interest of time, let me stop there. We can talk more. Please.